Hi and welcome back to Man vs Film. I'm moving on with my Amicus love train that we have just now to Dr. Terror's House of Horror. Another one of these anthology movies that has quite an interesting conceit this time round. We have 6 people trapped within a carriage of a train on a journey from A to B. It doesn't matter. One of these people is the titular Dr. Terror, played by Peter Cushing, who loves his tarot cards. In fact, he can quite easily tell everybody's future just by using these things. We have, of course, a varied selection of characters within the train. We have the skeptic in the form of Christopher Lee, who's quite denouncing of this practice. We have some other characters who are a little bit wary, some that are rather interested in taking part, but through peer pressure and everything else that goes on, eventually they all take their turn of having their story told through the tarot cards. And we get some wonderfully great stories, 5 in total, which we'll have a look at a little of each one of them. I'll try to keep them as spoiler free as I possibly can.
Dr. Terror's House of Horrors. Horrors the screen has never before dared to depict.
In the first story, Werewolf, we have an architect who is commissioned to go back to his home, his ancestral home that he sold, to do some renovations for the current owner. And we get him travelling up there, meeting the owner, getting back into his old haunts, his house, where he is looking to do the renovations that the woman wants, when he discovers a fake wall in the basement and a coffin inside of it. And there is a spooky tale that goes along with his ancestral history about what could possibly be in this coffin.
The terrifying horror of the dead, entombed for 200 years, that creeps its way back to terrorize the living.
I won't go into too much of it. But I kind of like this one. It has a nice kind of, as most of these things do, a twist, a sting in the tail, so to speak. These are all tales. We'll get to them when I talk to them all at the end, but they're all tales of that person's kind of sin, their major flaw, the thing that they can't really get away from doing, can't break the habit of. In this one, it's got the spooky moors, it's got the house, it's got the strange staff that seem to know a little bit too much but aren't willing to share the information. And again, it's just a quick punchy tale. It's a great start to this movie by giving you something that's just so lavish with some of its spooks, its scares, it's on the nose. I'm just going to leave it there. Move on to part 2. And we go from like one weird tale that's all set in darkness and moors and fog into something extremely different. We have a man returning from holiday with his wife and child to his home. It's all brightly lit. It's just his garden that we see mostly in the house, and this strange vine that is growing up his house. Doesn't know where it came from. I mean, he tries to take it out, cut it. It won't. It almost defends itself, and it continues to grow and take over the garden. So much so that he has to enlist the help of a friend from the local university, a professor, to come and help him investigate what this thing is.
The terrifying horror of man-killing vine with a human brain that creeps and kills.
And it just goes in a kind of wacky direction with some of the things that happen in here. It feels odd, and going from some of the other Amicus movies into this one, it feels like a very strange kind of story. But I like the fact that we don't settle in one genre within these movies. We jump all about through the various tales, exploring some fun avenues of horror. It stars Roy Castle as this trumpet player. Now, straight off the bat, Roy Castle is such a smiley, enigmatic character. His boundless energy kind of drove me through this segment. I'm kind of interested in this one. Most definitely involves voodoo of sorts. He's a trumpet player. He has to go and play. He gets a commission job for a couple of weeks. Goes to this land, hears this voodoo chant and beat at night. Now he's warned not to go near it, but he does, and he starts to write down the notes of this rhythmic chant and beating and tribal music that they're playing to honour this voodoo god. And he's warned not to steal that music or bad things will happen to him. But he just doesn't heed word, and the rest of the tale kind of plays out in a fashion that you're expecting.
What is this?
Oh,
Well, I was listening to your music, so I wrote it down.
You wrote down the sacred music of the great god Damballa.
It could be a hit. Make a fortune.
It's such an exciting kind of segment. The third one, again, we've changed tone completely, but it's still incredibly fun. In the fourth one, we have the cynic Christopher Lee, who plays an art critic who finds himself in a little bit of role reversal. He finds himself criticised for his beliefs by an artist who did definitely play a trick on him.
You could learn a great deal about painting from this artist, Mr. Landor.
Then I should very much like to meet him.
Would that be possible?
He's here now, as a matter of fact.
Indeed.
And this artist is just turning up in all the wrong places, just making a mockery of him, teasing this guy, and things happen, and he finds himself being stalked by... I'm not going to tell you. I think it's different again. It's fun. It feels a little bit more psychological. This is another one that I really liked. And it's silly if you tell the premise, but I really enjoyed this one. Christopher Lee, as always, gives a kind of gravitas to his performance. I really like the artist that gets to one up and just revels in the fact that this guy's been putting him down for years, and now he has the upper hand and is just enjoying the hell out of it. But yeah, this is a kind of fun one. The last story is Donald Sutherland as this young doctor who moves into a town with his wife, and they start to work his practice with another doctor, and the other doctor thinks that there may be something like a vampire that has started to feed off people within the village. Now, Donald Sutherland's not really having any of it, but this is a mentor, a peer, somebody that should be teaching him the ropes, and he starts to take it with a little bit more seriousness until he suspects that his wife could be that vampire.
I don't know. If these were medieval times, I'd almost say he was the victim of a vampire.
A little bit of a strange one again, but I like this one. I like the idea of the homemaker. The twist at the end you can kind of see coming, but I like that as well. When it was something that I would have liked to have seen more of, particularly this story. I feel there's a wee bit more oomph in it that you can get out of it. I'm really loving these, particularly from this era, horror anthologies. I feel that the production standards are excellent. You get a reoccurring group of actors and they're all definitely fun. Each of the leads here just fits that role perfectly. You get some great design work on the creatures or whatever it is that is the antagonistic element of that story, and they're just incredibly fun movies to sit down and watch. I remember watching these years ago on TV when they were on, and it's something that is a lost art to me, and especially Amicus in the early 70s, late 60s, just absolutely nailed the format, and it's another winner in my book. And if you're wanting to check this one out, it is on Amazon Prime in the UK.
The terrifying horror of a dreaded man called Dr. Terror, who, with his deck of mystic cards, could foretell destiny. Dr. Terror's House of Horrors.